it on the broadcast, quote in the comments, chanting every line. You're tuned to the truth that you'll never find online. Come on, it's the quote of Ron and Brian. If you're in, you ain't ever going quiet. Twist that dial, let the whole world hear it. Two sharp minds in the bad influence spirit. Hey, quote of Ron and Brian. Welcome to the ride, you're inside it now.
And good evening, everybody. It is time for episode 401. That intro still slaps. Week 2 that we're using it. Cracked the top 10 in the Apple iTunes downloads. That's how popular it's been, Brian. Reflections on episode 400, Brian. Now that we've had a week to put it behind us, think about the next 400 episodes. I know you are a very deep philosophical thinker. Share with me your thoughts as we start episode 401.
Well, episode 400, I really feel encapsulated everything that has made this program great. You brought excellence. We had guest videos from the CIA guy, from the wrestler pimp guy. So many celebrities reached out to us, called us, left voicemails. And this is where your leadership has really brought this show, not just to the next level, but to one above it, which was you had the idea of, hey, let's put out a toll-free number where, people can call, they can leave messages for us, let us know how incredible we are. Little did we know that number was going to seep into the cell phones of some of the most powerful people in the world, leaving us voice messages. It was Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the guy of course, the guy that changes your carburetor around the corner at the auto body shop. He left a beautiful message asking you to please pay your bills. His child needs, some just basic medical care. Anyway, but to move it on, we laughed, we cried, we hugged. It was just beautiful.
We ran the gamut of emotions.
All it does is just empower us to be that much better. Episode 401 to episode 800.
All right, well, let's get things going then. It's time for Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Proszę.
Prost.
Drink of the week, drink of the week, drink of the week, drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking for episode 401?
Listen, when I think of drink of the week, I go to Lakewood, New York, because that is where some of the finest beer coming out of the continental United States is being manufactured. We're looking at Southern Tier's Early Bird. And what makes this an early bird? It is the fact that I'm going to be drinking it. But more importantly, it is that this is a blackberry lemonade ale. That's right, people. Early Bird Ale is a sweet and tart refresher with bursts of juicy blackberry, which was your nickname back in college, Ron, a squeeze of tart lemonade, my college nickname, and an easy sipping 4.5 ABV beverage. Light notes of malty sweetness alongside Willamette and Centennial hops let this blackberry lemonade ale bloom just in time for warmer weather. Take a sip of sunshine as spring returns and Early Bird takes a flight. I mentioned earlier it has a 4.5 ABV. More importantly, Beer Advocate gives it a score of 89. The cusp of being excellent. We're still going to have to live with a very good rating. I'm going to take my first sip. Southern Tier Early Bird.
Let's see here. That sounds delightful. A little blueberry lemonade ale. Looking like he's enjoying it right off the bat. Brian, talk to me.
Wish I had bought a 12-pack of this instead of the one that I purchased. This beer is just perfectly tart. You get the citrus, you get the sweetness of the blackberry. You also do taste the malt in the hops, so you know you're drinking a beer. This is a delicious beverage.
Would you call it crushable?
I don't know that I would want to have 6 of these at one sitting. That's more of a Mexican lager or a Pilsner, if you would. Just delicious. Once again, Southern Tier Early Bird. This is what it looks like in a frosted mug. Just delicious. Ron, I'm not sure you can compete with this beer, but I know you're bringing your A game for episode 401. People love to follow what you are drinking. Please share it with us.
Always bringing my A game. Bringing a beer this week that is a celebration of the city of Philadelphia, a city that next month will host the PGA Golf Championship. In June and July, one of the host cities for the World Cup, the home base for America 250 celebrations, and also the home of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game this year. So to celebrate all things Philadelphia, Victory Brewing has put out their Philly First Anniversary Ale. From the first zoo in the country to the first computer, Philly was first at a lot of things. Now it's first in your cooler. Brewed in collaboration with Visit Philadelphia, Philly First is a crisp, easy drinking 4.8% ABV anniversary ale with light hoppy bitterness and hints of tropical fruit, made for the good times and the good people of this mighty fine city. So that's Victory Brewing. That's their Philly First. Let's take a look at that. Nice, crisp,
that's beautiful,
clean-looking ale.
Ron, you do need to get some updated pint glasses. You got to get on board with the cult of Ron and Brian. I know you like the OG ones. Walk me through this beverage.
Crisp. It's crisp. They say crisp. They weren't screwing around. Kind of a light hoppy smell to it.
Crushable, would you describe?
I would. It's on the cusp of being crushable. I don't know if it's crushable for Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
But definitely a beer that I could have 2 or 3 of.
Good. Very good to hear. I think, let's be, between the two of us and everybody else on this planet that's watching right now, there is nothing like setting off to a great episode when you and I are both drinking enjoyable beverages.
It really takes the episode to another high level. Let's keep it going, though. It's time for Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I will tell you exactly what's bothering me, and it is this. The price of food at restaurants now is outrageous. It has become so expensive to eat out. Last night, my lady and I went out with a couple that we are friends with. The foursome, we sat down. Nothing fancy. Went to this, Italian restaurant / pizzeria in Montclair, New Jersey. I will not give their name because I do not remember the name of the restaurant. However, menu consisted of various pizzas, some pasta dishes, and whatnot. Then they had something on the side of the menu, which literally was called sides. And one of the options, excuse me, chicken cutlets.
Okay.
Listen, I grew up in a household where chicken cutlets was a staple. You can eat them hot, you can eat them warm, you can eat them cold. There were 4 cutlets with a slice of lemon on each one of them and a little sauce that you could pour on top. It was like an olive oil, salty.
Sounds delicious.
$32
for 4 cutlets.
An entree should not be $32 at this place, let alone a side. 4 cutlets. Now keep in mind, obviously these have been pounded flat. We're literally talking about 2 breasts you would buy in the supermarket in a package, maybe a pound of meat before cooking. Cut in half, pounded. delicious. Don't get me wrong, but it is so expensive now to be able to wine and dine your partner. People, the struggle is real. Inflation is real. The cost of living in this country is real. That's my beef. It was just the shock of looking at the price. But the thing is, you don't want to look like you're cheap. You know,
Right.
when you're in front of people, you want to be like, oh, this is very cutting. All I wanted to do was complain about the price. All I wanted to do was sit there and be like, does this taste like $32 to you? However, I know that with a nose like this, you tend to be a little sensitive when discussing financials, when discussing costs, because people may make a certain assumption.
They may get the wrong impression.
Of
is
course.
what you're saying.
So I try to be somewhat cognizant, and also let's be, brutally honest. I do realize that I do ask about cost a lot about a lot of things, and I don't know necessarily because I'm Jewish. I think it's just because I like to complain about the cost of things. I think it's more of a cultural, not religious thing whatsoever. I just like being like, that's how $32 for 4 cutlets.
Clearly, this has you fired up.
No, not even that. I ate the last cutlet just out of spite because I wasn't going to leave it. There was no way I was leaving it on that plate. I was getting my money.
Isn't that the worst? Like you're like, I am so full, I can't eat another bite. But God damn it, if I'm going to, not get my money's worth for this meal.
That was an $8 cutlet sitting there staring at me on the plate. I just had to. And I felt so gluttonous. I was stuffed. I didn't want to eat anymore, but I pounded that out. Yeah, price of eating out now, outrageous. Ron, what is burning you up this week?
So my beef this week, Brian, is with Cavity Busters. They are a small local chain of dentist offices here in the Philadelphia area.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found troublesome, my wife and I were down at Citizens Bank Park last night going to see the Philadelphia Phillies play the Atlanta Braves. And there was some advertisements. Apparently, Cavity Busters sponsors a nursing mother's lounge at the ballpark, which I do not have an issue with the nursing mother's lounge. What I have an issue with is the logo that Cavity Busters, and not their regular logo. They took their regular logo and updated a bit, Brian. It is a tooth nursing on a human female. Ooh. Look at this logo and tell me that is not disturbing in some way, shape, or form.
So is that a breast I'm supposed to, is in front of it? Or is that supposed to be like a pacifier?
No, I'm pretty sure that is supposed to be a breast. The woman cradling a baby tooth,
right?
And that baby tooth is nursing on it.
And because she's in Philadelphia, we all know her name is Teresa. Ron, how did this nursing mother's lounge compare, in your opinion, to some of the others? I know you are a big fan of standing outside nursing mothers' lounges throughout the country. You feel that it is a accommodation that has been well deserved. The fight for nursing lounges has been it's such a struggle, an uphill battle. You were there with all of those nursing women for all those protests. You said you're a big fan of standing outside the one in Union Station down there on 30th Street in Philadelphia. You said you felt
Union
that
Station is in Washington, D.C.
Close enough, Ron. I'm on a roll here.
30th Street Station. Are you on a roll?
Let me roll
really?
here. I know you said that the nursing station, the nursing lounge in the Syracuse airport was quite, from a hygiene perspective. You said that there were soiled nursing pads on the floor. You said they didn't smell good when you picked up and gave them a whiff. How did this nursing lounge compare to this?
Sun's gotta stop.
First off, I don't know where the lounge is. In Citizens Bank Park, we were at one point, as it got colder out, we went inside. We had Hall of Fame club seats, so you have a little indoor area that you can go to. We were at one point at the bar there, so we could watch both the Flyers game and the Phillies game, and they do like little ads in the corner of the TV, and this every few minutes was what was staring at us. And it just, whatever reason, I was like, why would you just not use your regular, like who at Cavity Busters was like, you know what, we're not using our regular logo. we need to see teeth sucking on titty. And I don't get that point, Brian.
What is their normal logo? Oh, just a gigantic tooth.
Yeah, just a gigantic tooth with, the brush crossing through it because, you don't want
Got it.
cavities.
No.
But I also don't
All
want to
right.
see a baby tooth nursing on a human mom.
Listen, I don't know if you've watched a lot of Japanese movies over the past couple of years. There's a very big subgenre in the large-breasted women category. That might be, just give it a shot is all I'm saying, Ron.
All right. I'm sure you have some links that you can send to me and that I can check out later.
Maybe.
All right. Next up, stories of the week. These are our stories that we see. We want to make sure we get out to everybody, share this knowledge with you. Brian, what's your story of the week this week?
My story of the week takes us out to the wonderful world of an Amazon warehouse facility in Oregon, specifically Troutdale, Oregon, where Amazon warehouse workers reportedly were kept working after a colleague of theirs had died, collapsing on the floor of the warehouse, with a manager telling one employee to simply look away instead of trying to help. After the unnamed 46-year-old worker fell onto the ground, a manager allegedly told an employee who wanted to help provide CPR to, quote, "Just turn around and not look. Let's get back to work." Employees reportedly saw the man collapse as loading docks hummed with activity on April 6th. A 9/11 call to the Western Edge newspaper that they were able to obtain revealed an Amazon worker telling dispatchers that a man had fallen. He was probably dead, adding that an excessive amount of blood was coming from his head and he appeared to be very blue. Amazon, when reached out, basically said it is the management or safety team that is responsible for dictating the any type of work stoppages, and that this was something that they prioritized and were concerned with. Denied reports that their supervisor had acted callously and seemed more interested in keeping the warehouse running. What I find most concerning about this story is that there are individuals out there who have invested significant amount of money in Amazon stock, who reached out to me about 4.5 minutes before the show started, basically telling me, don't do the Amazon story because the stock's been on quite a rise lately, and he's thinking about selling some so that he can do an upgrade on his backyard pool. Most concerning.
Now, question for you, because, you being in the HR realm, I remember you told me a few months back that you wrote an SOP for your company that on a construction site, if someone is to fall and get hurt or killed, the instructions for the other employees is to ignore that. And the expectation is that each of them will work a little bit harder to make up for the lack of this live individual. Given that, how do you feel Amazon handled this?
Well, first off, you misunderstood my SOP, because what steps 8 and 9 are to put the body through a tile grinder and then hide different various parts inside the wall cavities of the building. So this way, there's no body for OSHA to find. Heaven forbid somebody calls them.
All right, makes sense. My apologies.
Ron,
I should realize how thorough you are.
I'm very thorough. Ron.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes, my friend.
Ron.
Yes, can you hear me? Is this on?
What's your story of the week?
So this week, we go all the way out to Seoul, South Korea, where an American live streamer who enraged citizens there by kissing a statue honoring women forced into wartime sexual slavery was jailed for 6 months on Wednesday on public nuisance and other charges. This photo is of Johnny Somali, whose real name is Ramzi Khalid Ishmael. He had been prohibited from leaving South Korea since he was indicted back in 2024. On Wednesday, he was detained immediately after he was sentenced on a range of offenses, which also included distributing sexual deepfakes, according to the Seoul Western District Court. Somali, a self-proclaimed internet troll, is best known for posting provocative videos on YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms, several of which have banned him. During a visit to Seoul in 2024, he drew outrage when he posted a clip of himself kissing and making sexual gestures towards a statue commemorating the tens of thousands of Korean women Japanese forces forced into sexual slavery during World War II. Somali later apologized, saying that he was unaware of the statue's significance and the clip was removed, but he continued to stir controversy in South Korea, with local media reporting he had been beaten up multiple times. He was indicted over a number of allegations of disruptive acts, among them that he caused a, quote, commotion at a convenience store in Seoul. In addition to the prison term, he was sentenced to an additional 20 days in detention and is barred from working with children and people with disability for 5 years.
Oh, I would love to see this kid pay some price. The genre of the social media of people that go out and I'm going to use the word harass, which might not be necessarily in a legal sense, but the number of people who go out there intentionally to embarrass and mock strangers simply for quote unquote content. It needs to be cut back. It needs to be shunned. And if we can figure out public laws that they have violated, I'm all in favor of.
I would imagine like a South Korean prison, probably not a walk in the park. Hopefully,
but may not be as bad as a North Korean prison.
No, I would say in terms of things, I think you've got North Korea. I think you have like Russia. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that horrible things happen to him in prison.
I would agree. Hopefully he comes back with maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe a body bag. I don't know. What do they do? Do they send him in a body bag, or do they send him back in a casket?
I think it's probably a casket. I don't think you can technically transport a dead body in a body bag like overseas.
Well, what if they just dump him in the ocean?
What if they put him through a towel grinder?
Oh, yes.
That's what
Absolutely.
we call a callback, people. That's what we call a callback in the industry.
And that's why you're the champ and I'm not, because I don't do callbacks. I don't have that quick brain like you do.
You more appreciate a good tangent. Like I like a good callback. I like a good segue. You like a good tangent. You like a good stock boy ramming you in the butt. Like those are the things that kind of differentiate us.
Of course. I mean, I did not earn the title Power Bottom of New York 2009 because I didn't enjoy getting rammed in the butt by stock boys.
Here's a valid question.
That's a callback.
Are there refrigerated trucks in South Korea? Are they using forklifts to load the bodies into caskets? Many questions that we'll have to have maybe Matt research and get back.
Sure. Of course. What's going on in the world, Ron?
Listen, we've got that pesky little war in Iran still going on. Strait of Hormuz is open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. We're going to try not to get tangled up in that too much. But Trump did make the headlines again this week for not so great a thing for a lot of people. He posted this AI version of himself as Jesus healing someone, which was he eventually took it down. But he claimed the image of himself as Jesus. He thought it was actually a doctor. But many people are saying this is him kind of fighting back at Pope Leo after Pope Leo denounced the war in Iran.
Question for you, Ron. Is it not similar to a photo that you were sharing with some friends earlier this week?
I don't believe so. I believe there was a photo that you were sharing with friends this week. If you'd like to put up the photo in reference, you did appear to place my face in the doctored photo.
I don't have that ability. It seemed as if you were sending out a message that you personally have been anointed by President Trump, by a Jesus-like figure who represents all that is great in this country, that you have been anointed almost to be the leader of this show. I have any comments on that?
I don't believe I've been anointed. However, I have, I'm carrying this title belt into the third straight year. And really, I think it's less my anointment and more, I don't want to say incompetence on your part, because that comes across kind of harsh. But let's just call it maybe a lack of testicular fortitude, perhaps.
That's rude.
I'm just kicking around some ideas.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can ask me a question.
How was your trip to Dallas this week? We actually did not talk about it.
We went to Dallas for work, flew down there. Thankfully, no issues with TSA anymore at the airports. Had some good business meetings, had an opportunity to dine at a Michelin star restaurant. So had a very good meal. You want to talk about prices for a restaurant. $32 for 4 cutlets seems pretty good, after you spend a lot of money on a Michelin star restaurant.
This was not I don't believe there's any Michelin star restaurants in Montclair, New Jersey.
No, why not?
I just don't think so. I don't think there are many. I don't think so. It's Montclair, New Jersey, which is actually a very nice town. So that's it. Nothing, no incidents with U.S. people, the heartland. Did you visit the Dealey Plaza? Did you walk around saying that they got the wrong Kennedy that day, or make any other kind of weird remarks?
Nothing along those lines. It was
Okay.
kept it low key. Had
Okay.
a little barbecue. But didn't really spend too much time tripping around the city.
All right. How was the barbecue there, if I may ask?
I've had better.
Okay.
I chose poorly for a restaurant, and I have to take ownership of that, Brian. I selected the restaurant, and it was not great.
Got it. Well, I'm sure you apologize to your colleagues.
Anyway, back to the Trump story real quick.
Sure.
So people are now saying that Trump's people told him to say that the image was doctored, but instead he said, I thought it was of me as a doctor, which sounds believable with Trump's declining mental condition. But what's your thoughts on people saying that?
I mean, listen, most 80-year-olds are not particularly sharp to begin with. But I don't want to get on the whole bandwagon, because I feel it almost excuses his behavior by being like, oh, he's just old. He's just, this is the man that was voted by the American public to be president for a 4-year term. We're only about a year and a half into it. Or just under. We are about a third of the way through his term. We've got another 2.5 years of this man. So to sit there and just kind of chalk up, well, he's got some dementia, it's all right. It's not okay. Just concerning, just very concerning.
Well, and Harry Sisson from MS Now, he posted that he was concerned on Monday that Trump was having a mental health episode, because he was posting literally into the wee hours of the morning on Truth Social. So this was the breakdown. 9:49 p.m. post that Jesus photo that we just shared with you. 9:50 p.m. post a photo of Trump Tower on the moon. 10:10 p.m. post a meme. 10:32 p.m. post a news clip. 10:53 p.m. post a news clip. 12:43 a.m. Post announcing that the Strait of Hormuz was the blockade that we were putting into place. 2:35 a.m. an article about Joe Biden. 2:36 a.m. an article on naval blockade. 2:37 a.m. an article on Rep. Swalwell. 2:37 a.m. posted the same article about Biden again. 2:38 a.m. posted an article on his ballroom, and then 4:10 a.m. posted an article on Iran.
Now, is there any talk that this is a account that he manages as well as he has staff that also manage?
He says that he's the only person that posts on Truth Social, except when there is an issue with something on Truth Social. Then he says
Yeah,
it's a member of his team. I
got
mean,
it.
I guess he could also be potentially scheduling these posts. So he might actually, maybe he's posting it to make it seem like he's working 24 hours a day.
Does anyone actually believe that Truth Social has their design enough that you can set a post up to print at a later time?
Good point. Good point.
Do people actually use
I've
Truth
never been
Social?
on it. Well, I think, and if you're a fan of Donald Trump, people are using it.
Okay. I thought you went to. I thought the supporters were on Twitter.
Well, there's definitely a lot on Twitter as well, but there's
Okay.
still a loyal handful on Truth Social. Brian,
Okay.
you asked
All
me a
right.
question. If I may ask you a question, what are you
Okay.
watching?
Oh, a couple things. Knocked out the Hulu documentary Sky King. Did you watch that?
I watched it. Yes.
I think I was expecting more. I think I was expecting more from it. So it is the story, and it's a story that has been spread on social media, which I think is really where the backup for this documentary really got its momentum from. It is the story of an airport employee who's working as a grounds crew, who one day just basically decided he had enough, and basically stole an airplane, had enough flight knowledge that he knew how to steer a plane onto a runway and to take off.
Yeah.
That was the part that they don't even address in the documentary, which was, how did he know how to do this? And what makes this documentary fascinating is that the audio is that almost immediately he is in communication with ground control at the Seattle airport. So this is all recorded. You have audio of him basically talking to ground control, and you hear the people that are speaking with him from the clock tower, and they're basically trying to ensure that there is as little loss of life as a result of this as possible. Ideally, they want to see if they can figure out a way to guide him to land the plane safely, but they're also very open to say that they are very concerned he's going to crash this plane or lose control, and the plane crashes into a populated area. Seattle is a major metropolitan area. And so, but you hear this audio, and then they interview his family members,
Right.
and I think a coworker, and you see them all listening to the audio of him talking with ground control. It probably should have been an hour-long episode of some TV show. I did not think it warranted the 90 minutes. And it kind of glossed over how he did it, which I felt was kind of a very important part. They also kind of gloss over the why. Nobody really seems to understand why he just kind of decided it was his time. Apparently he was married. They don't address whether there was any problems in the marriage that would cause him to want to end his life. The wife is never interviewed. I realize now I'm just doing a gigantic spoiler of this documentary, and if you haven't watched it, you really don't need to anymore.
Or you're saving people an hour and a half.
I was so looking forward to it because I thought this was going to be like a Tiger King. Like it was going to be something that was just going to be because just the idea that this guy's, and the thing is, when you hear the audio of him, he sounds so normal. He does not sound like he's distressed in any way. Does not sound that he is not of his full mental capacity while up there. And yet you realize that he's just flying in the air with the idea that at some point he's just going to end it. Could have been so much more impactful, but I did not think that it had the gravitas that I was hoping for. And then I've also gone back to For All Mankind on Apple TV.
I can see there's another season of that out.
they're coming out with a new season. I'm halfway through season 2, so I have quite a bit to catch up to. I've always been fascinated by space travel. Artemis going to the moon kind of re-energized me to get back into the show, so I did. Also, last but not least, I am watching Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV with John Hamm.
Season 2 dropped.
Speaking of drop, this second season is a drop from season 1. Very implausible, very the characters I just feel like have become so one-dimensional that it's just hard to really stomach an interest in any of them. But I will still watch it because I am loyal. Ron, what are you watching?
Also watched the Sky King documentary. I would agree with you. It was a little long. It was a little slow at times. I do think they could have wrapped it up in an hour. What I wish they would have focused on is so the guy worked at the airport. He was a baggage handler at the airport. Yeah. So you understand how he gets, through security and how he gets on the tarmac. But Correct. The fact that this man is able to pull hop in one of those little carts, pull an airplane out into position, hop into the airplane while the airplane's rolling at this point.
Yes.
And fire it up, cut off other planes, and take off into the air. At what point does somebody say, should that guy be doing that? Should that guy be pulling that plane around that's not scheduled to be taking off?
Well, I think it's one of those where it just happened so fast that, it's just, how did he do it? How did the plane rolling, and he had the wherewithal to be like, I'm going to be able to open the door, hop in while this thing is still moving. I wouldn't even try getting into a car that's outside, that's out of brake, that's in neutral. That's the phrase. Damn it.
And it sounded like he literally just researched online how to fly a plane. Like he managed to get it up in the air. To your point, it sounds like he, clearly didn't think everything through, but in listening to the audio, like never planned on landing the plane. Pulled off a barrel roll, which was impressive, and apparently the plane shouldn't have been able to do. And then, unfortunately ended his life by crashing into one of the islands out there. So, I think, I get that they wanted to focus on his family. They tried to interview his wife, and she apparently didn't respond. But I think there could have been some more detailed information as to kind of especially post 9/11, the security lapses that allowed. Again, this isn't a small regional airport. Seattle is apparently one of the top 30 airports in the country.
Sure.
It feels like the security piece of it was kind of swept under the rug.
Right. It probably they did not want to draw attention to the fact that this could happen tomorrow at any airport, and that it's shockingly easy. All you have to do is to be able to just get through a couple rounds of security.
Also, as Joe is watching, I'm glitching as always, but also watching, Trust Me, The False Prophet. That is a 4-episode docuseries on Netflix right now. It is about Samuel Bateman, who took over from, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy that he took over from, Warren. All right, I'll think about it, or someone will tell me.
Warren Gregg, the Utah.
Yeah, so Samuel.
Yes, Warren Jeffs.
That's it.
Warren Jeffs.
So yes. Samuel Bateman takes over basically takes over the cult, and starts, literally marrying all these women of age and underage. I've only watched 2 of them. I've heard the remaining 2 are pretty disturbing. So I'll probably work on finishing that off.
Well, you'll be finishing yourself off, right?
I tried to watch season 2 of Hijack, which I think you had told me not as good as season 1.
Correct.
Made it through an episode and a half, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Finished watching DTF St. Louis. I don't know if you've caught the finale yet.
Completely caught up. What are your thoughts? Let's talk.
We'll try not to spoil the ending, but I feel it was
The last episode, the last scene where Jason Bateman literally is just standing there naked, crying, a broken man, while he is getting rammed by a stock boy. I just felt was so powerful. See, that's what we call a callback, people.
That's a callback right there.
All right, talk DTF.
I think the ending, because it's set up to be, almost this murder mystery that you're trying to figure out and unravel along the way. And then I don't know, it wraps itself up a little too neatly, I think. I mean, it's not a happy ending by any stretch of the imagination. No. And it was very off the wall at points. I feel it wrapped it up, but I feel I wasn't a huge fan of the ending.
It's not a feel-good ending. It's not an ending where you're like, oh, that's good. It's. I think that this show's. It's about people that are broken, I thought the ending was in line with it. It wasn't satisfying, but I also felt like the story. To me, it didn't warrant a satisfying ending where everything just kind of wraps up well.
There was never going to be a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Watch the season,
which is also your nickname. Your nickname in college was unsatisfying ending. All the girls in the dorm had gotten together and they were like, "Oh, Rod, unsatisfying ending."
Watched the season finale of The Pit again. Great episode, great season. And then tonight, before the show, I watched episode 1 of the final season of The Boys. Looks good. I enjoyed the first episode, so I'm going to try and knock that out over the next week as well.
Very good. Also, in the comments, we got Janelle sitting there. She started watching Euphoria. I have a question. As a grown man who is in his 50s and is married, is there any plausible way that I can explain to my wife that I want to watch Euphoria? Because I believe there isn't, and I just think I should just go the rest of my life having never watched. There's no way I can sit there and defend.
Any explanation you give is going to go right out the window the moment she sees Sydney Sweeney either dressed up as a dog or,
exactly
with a pacifier in her mouth with her legs on a couch, spread and all that.
She just popped her head and said, "You're not watching Euphoria." Like, there's no way. Just popped her head and she was like, "No, you're not watching Euphoria." And I can't, Janelle, I cannot watch it. Because the other thing is, when would I be able to watch it when she's not around? While I'm on the train on my commute to work. Definitely can't watch it in public. Right. Last thing I need is to be on TikTok while somebody in the car behind me is videotaping me watching Euphoria on the train.
You just reminded me of this. So on the flight down to Dallas, I look over at the guy like kind of across the aisle in a row in front of me, and he's watching The Housemaid, that god awful Sydney Sweeney movie that I hated.
Sure.
And at first I'm like figuring, he's just watching the censored version on American Airlines, because that's one of my coworkers was watching it too. Oh no, he was watching the original version on his laptop. So he's sitting there as the hardcore sex scene is playing. Just sitting there, all of us are like, "Oh yeah." There's a scene between Sydney Sweeney and the husband, where they go at it in a hotel room, and I'm just like, I feel like that's inappropriate to be watching in a public plane. Like, I feel like I have nothing against it, but I feel like you should maybe read the room a little bit.
Wait for that to watch it in your hotel room. Don't. That's not something you watch on the plane. Now, question, when that scene popped up, because I imagine you were like, "Oh, that's going to happen in 8 minutes and 33 seconds." I imagine, did he block the screen? Did he lower it? Did he fast forward? What did he do when that scene came on?
He sat there drinking his wine and watching it.
Was it a Sauvignon Blanc?
They didn't have Sauvignon Blanc on this flight. Maybe it was a Chardonnay.
That's disappointing. Very disappointing.
You talk about prices. Buying alcohol and a little bit of snacks on a flight is also ridiculous at this point. I think I bought a very small can of Dos Equis, and it was like $9.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You know what I like to do?
Drink size.
I like to
by
go
Stock
to
Boys?
no. I like to go buy a bag of peanuts at the local CVS or Duane Reade. I like to buy one of those pound bag of salted peanuts. And right
Okay.
as we fly off, I like to cut open. I can't obviously cut it open, but I like to open the bag and I just like to eat the peanuts and cough as often as possible. Just if they're gonna give me a small bag of 4 pretzels, I'm gonna eat my pound of peanuts.
Not caring about if there's anybody with a peanut allergy that might impact as you're spewing peanut bits across the plane.
Other thing I love to do is talk while eating on a plane. So while I have those, just that mound of peanut, I'm like, so what's everybody else watching on the plane? Sorry.
Next up, disgraced Congressman Eric Swalwell. We talked about him last week. He has dropped out of the race for governor of California and has also resigned from the congressional seat. Apparently, he billed, because this is according to the New York Post, so it's probably
Sure.
accurate. He billed an eye-watering amount of booze deliveries to his campaign, including charges during a series of trips to Las Vegas. Over a 4-year period starting in 2020, Swalwell's donor-funding congressional campaigns recorded more than 100 separate charges with now defunct alcohol delivery company Drizzly. I didn't realize Drizzly had gone out of business. Purchases that even caught his team off guard. While the ex-congressman's campaign spending could be legal, quote, it might not be the best use of donor money, according to Swalwell's former chief of staff, Alex Evans.
That is a massive amount of alcohol purchases. I mean, I appreciate that he understood that working was more important than driving to the liquor store. That he was focused on passing legislation in Congress. I just feel like he probably should have been drinking a little bit less.
Well, and his campaign records show that his bill was roughly $6,100, also overlapped with him taking multiple trips to Las Vegas in the summer of 2021. In July of that year, Swalwell racked up thousands of dollars in charges for hotel stays at the Cosmopolitan Las Vegas, a 5-star hotel and casino. He appears to have visited the Cosmopolitan 3 times over a 10-day period that month on July 9th, 12th, and 19th.
All right. It's amazing. His fall from grace happened very quickly. He went from being the ordained next governor of California to he's going to need a couple of years to regain and put together his reputation again. Obviously, he's going to have to do some type of rehabilitation for substance abuse. He's going to have to talk about his sex addiction. He'll have to apologize. He will have to go through some type of rehab tour. And then I believe he will end up as a commentator on MSNBC.
But and he was, he was one of the faces of the left, especially during the first Trump administration. Apparently, I'm glitching. I don't see it on my side, but I'm going to take the word of the people out there. I'm getting good readings on my internet, Brian. Maybe you're just causing it.
I stopped complaining about your internet years ago, Ron. I realized that that you live in a gated community where the HOA is in control of your internet. I understand that you're a Spectrum household. You're dealing with a very low bit rate per minute. Your HOA was offered fiber internet. You said no, you prefer the dial-up ISP. So what are we going to do? We make the best of it.
Seeing as how you're on the spectrum, I can imagine that would be in your wheelhouse to make those comments. Moving down to Tennessee, a sexual predator was handed a record-breaking 438-year sentence this past week for 13 years of horrific abuse against 6 different children. This is a mugshot of Matthew Cody Ball, age 36, convicted in March of continuous sexual abuse of a child. 9 counts of child rape, and various other sex crimes against 6 victims as young as 4 years old. He
Ew.
began his sick crime spree as early as 2011 and assaulted children in both Tennessee and Texas, according to prosecutors. The sentence, which came without the possibility of parole, is the longest short of life without parole, which has been imposed in a child sexual abuse case in Sumner County history. Apparently, he was ineligible for a formal life sentence or the death penalty due to the time frame in which his offenses were committed.
Jeez, there's some terrible fucking people out here.
Oh yeah. And again,
Some really
the only
gross
good
people.
thing to come out of this is, again, he's never leaving prison, but we all know what happens to child sex offenders in prison.
They become hotel executives.
No, I feel like he's just not going to have a good time while he's there.
All right. Well, let's pray that he is murdered within a couple weeks of incarceration.
I mean, I feel like these kind of criminal activities are more aligned with HR professionals in the construction industry. It's just what
You think?
I hear things, Brian. I hear things.
I
Next
think you
up-
made that up. I don't believe you heard that at all.
We have a Florida doctor who has been accused of fatally removing the wrong organ from a patient. Horror story coming out of Florida, as usual. This is Thomas Shaknovsky, age 44. He was indicted this past Monday for second-degree manslaughter after removing 70-year-old William Bryan's liver instead of his spleen during an August 2024 laparoscopic splenectomy, causing the Alabama man to bleed to death on the operating table. The grand jury indicted him. He's been arrested. His medical license had been pulled prior to following, I should say, the fatal mix-up. Apparently had pushed the reluctant Bryan into undergoing the surgery after he had checked into a hospital with lower left abdominal pain.
Okay.
Like, I feel, again, I'm not a doctor, but I feel I know the difference between a liver and a spleen.
Yeah. I feel like I don't, but I know enough not to just go in there and just start taking body parts out. I mean, there was that summer where I kind of lost my way, and I was in the plains of Mexico. Been drinking a lot of tequila, where I decided that I was going to be a surgeon, or as they say down there, el médico. And I was just performing surgery. I really had, I was out of my element there. But teachable moment. Don't do that. We're all better now. Well, I am, not my patients.
I remember, all those times in college that, you were claiming to be a doctor, giving physicals to young boys walking around campus, telling them to turn their head and cough. I would have thought you would have learned that.
Ron, the likelihood of prostate problems for young boys, not something that we as a society talk about. It is too common. I sat there, I said, listen, why are we waiting for men to reach the age of 40 to start having prostate exams? We should be starting at 4.
All right, let's move on from that. Next to Florida, our other favorite state is Texas. We go there for this story, where a Texas mother of 3 who pleaded her innocence when her husband was arrested for allegedly running a prostitution ring frequented by local police is now accused of coaching women to sell their bodies out of the couple's home. Ashley Ketcherside was arrested on Wednesday on racketeering charges after her alleged involvement in her husband's purported prostitution enterprise was originally overlooked when he was arrested on April 8th. But a wide-ranging investigation revealed she has 2 prior prostitution convictions herself and allegedly offered her X-rated services for $1,000 an hour, according to police. Ashley and Michael Ketcherside allegedly hosted members of the Godley Police Department and their spouses at their home, where they ran the ring for at least a decade. During the gatherings, Ashley could be found preparing another woman for prostitution, according to court documents obtained by local media. She flatly denied all accusations against her and her husband.
First off, she looks like somebody that would be a WWE diva. Like she's just, if Billy were here, I would ask him to confirm that.
Sure.
So is the story that she was trying to talk one of the cops' wives into becoming a prostitute, or while they were having a gathering with cops and their spouses, she was in another part of the house talking a completely separate woman into prostituting?
It doesn't really say in this article. I would imagine, if the police were coming to get their services there, maybe they're not bringing their wives along for that particular thing.
Right.
So I think it would be other women. But what do I know, Brian?
Okay. That looks like a still from a course that she would give at like the, Courtyard by Marriott conference room B, where it's, how to make lots of money in suburban real estate. Wink, wink.
I mean, is prostitution that bad if there are willing participants? Is the question.
This is the problem. How can you prove that they're willing? It is listen, as somebody who has recently been to Amsterdam and walked through the red light district, you understand the horrors of human trafficking that go on inside the world of prostitution. There were many women there that I sat there and said, listen, come with me. I will, let me take you out of this horrible life. And they were like, no, I can't. They're going to hurt my family back home. In Philadelphia adjacent land. And I was just like, I understand.
All right. Well, New Jersey made the news this week after New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill bashed the inherited World Cup host agreement, in which FIFA is absolved of paying for transportation to the matches at MetLife Stadium, and insisted she won't stand for its planned price gouging. New Jersey Transit plans to raise prices to a staggering $100 for fans traveling from New York Penn Station to MetLife Stadium. I now have heard that it's going to be $150 if you buy a round trip ticket, compared to the average ticket, which goes for $12.90, meaning that is a premium of 775%. Brian, you are well versed in New Jersey transit at this point.
Sure.
Is it worth $13, much less $150?
I would say it's worth the $13. I mean, just the very fact that, you're to get from Penn Station requires you to transfer either over or under the Hudson River. There's going to be a fee there. There's a toll there. It's not the greatest of commutes. The train station that they have at MetLife Stadium, I've done once. There's just, if you think about it, we'll say 50,000 fans exiting a soccer game, possibly more. Most, I assume, will be taking cars, except in this case, they are not allowing, for security reasons, people to park in the parking lot around MetLife Stadium. So they're asking people to park next to it at the American Dream Mall and then take some form of bus or train. It's just a hellish commute.
And you know how much that parking is going to cost?
I'm going to guess $65.
$225 for parking.
Listen, I'm going to just tell you this. As somebody who lives in an area where you are seeing astronomical amounts that neighbors, maybe not in my building in the Ivory McIvory Tower, but people in my town are charging to rent out their house for that weekend of the finals, $10,000 for the weekend to rent out. I will be so much happier watching that game from my couch, feet up. I will have a couple adult beverages. I will find some food to make for it. It's usually a Sunday, so we will be doing a podcast right afterwards. Do you have any intentions of going to watch any of the games that are taking place in Philadelphia?
I do not. Again, ticket prices very high. Transportation, getting to the stadium, all of that. This was supposed to be a huge payoff for hotels and restaurants and all these communities. And I remember back in 2016 when Philadelphia first started working on this World Cup bid. The thought was people would come, they'd stay for a couple of weeks, and now, you look at the cost of tickets, you look at the cost of transportation, especially now as we're buying flights now. And now add in the train costs, the parking costs, the fact that we are not that hospitable of a country. We've got two games against the Ivory Coast here in Philadelphia. Ivory Coast residents have not been able to get visas to this country since 2025. So I think this is going to end up being a tremendous bust for a lot of the U.S. cities that these games are taking place in.
I heard that a lot of the hotels, one of the problems was that they were charging $32 for a platter of chicken cutlets, and the and soccer fans were not having it.
No, they said, even with the little squeeze of lemon, even with the little drizzle of olive oil, we will pay $16 for these cutlets. You won't charge us double.
Yes.
All right, let's try and get one more story in here before we wrap up. A Florida Christian school teacher was allegedly caught on camera forcefully slamming a special needs student to the floor and repeatedly abusing the child in her classroom, according to authorities and reports. This is Nicole Marie Rodriguez, age 29, of Miramar, Florida. She was arrested on Thursday in connection with multiple alleged abuse incidents caught on surveillance footage at Peace Christian Academy back on March 4th. The 8-year-old victim of the alleged abuse is diagnosed with autism and ADHD and is not known to be violent. Rodriguez has been his educator since August of 2024. How much of a temper do you have to beat up an 8-year-old?
It's got to be bad. I mean, Ron, you told me that one of the ways you like to discipline your employees is to attack them and slam their head against the floor. But that's grown adults. I know you rationalize it by saying, "Listen, they could have taken any job, but they chose themselves. They chose to work here." Themselves. Correct. But here's just a child. This is just a child. I mean, this is just a sad story.
In this case, video captured an interaction between Rodriguez and the boy where the teacher appears to physically assist the victim by grabbing hold of the victim's left arm and then grabs the right arm and bicep area, spinning the victim in an aggressive manner. Later that day, Rodriguez was allegedly caught suddenly restraining the boy while he was sitting calmly on the floor and pulling his arms behind his back. And then she was seen forcefully slamming the victim's upper body and head onto the classroom floor and continued restraining him by pinning down his arms and pressing on his upper body.
Piece of garbage. Just a piece of garbage.
So she was booked on 1 count of child abuse without great bodily harm and was later released on $5,000 bond.
I hope she pays the price.
Of course, her attorney is blaming the child.
Unfortunately, this is on videotape, so how the hell is that going to happen?
It's interesting to see how it plays out.
Sure.
Speaking of playing out, After Dark plays out in just 26 minutes. That's called a segue, people. We had callways, we've had segues. This is a solid episode so far. If you are not a member of our Patreon yet, you really need to be. Go to cultofronandbrian.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Now, listen, Brian talked about it earlier. The cost of restaurants going up. The cost of a gallon of gas, or petrol, as others may say, going up. Cost of the World Cup through the roof. After Dark remains $10 a month.
Correct.
3 years after we started it. I can't think of a better inflation beater than that, Brian. Can you?
No, not at all. I think that's exactly. It's not about making money here. It is about us giving people
About the love.
the ability to repay the favor. Every Sunday, we are out here providing just free entertainment to the world. People say, "How can we help? How can we give back to you, Ron and Brian?" And this is how you do it. You join our Patreon.
And in a way, you're not really giving back to us. You're giving back to yourself, because that money eventually goes back into this broadcast.
Yes. Which is
All right, Brian,
ultimately
anything-
what's so important. No, nothing
Anything
else.
else before we wrap up episode 401?
No, it's just a pleasure to be able to spend time with you.
Same here. It's been a great 401 episodes. I love you, my friend. I look forward
Love
to
you.
doing this every Sunday night. I can't wait until next Sunday night, when I am sure you will be here as we do episode 402. We're heading out. Patreon folks, we'll see you in about 25 minutes. Everybody else,
Yep.
we will see you next.
Late night legends, two minds on fire, breaking the border of rumor and wire. This is the cult of Ron and Brian. Hey, bow to the jokes and the science. Whoa, truth gets twisted, drinks keep sighing. Welcome to the cult of Ron and Brian. Hot takes rising, orders given. Once you're in, you're not.